Angus Young is not just a guitarist, he's a multi-million-dollar institution. In 2025, his net worth sits around $160 million, a fortune carved out through relentless touring, record-breaking album sales, and decades of royalties. Back in Black alone sold 50 million copies worldwide, and every year it still brings in millions. That's the kind of residual income most artists only dream of. But unlike other celebrities who flash their money in yachts and designer fashion, Angus has always kept his spending grounded. His investments lie mainly in property, like his estate in Sydney and a quiet multi-million-dollar mansion in a Dutch village with his wife Ellen. Yet the wealth also fuels something bigger: AC/DC's ability to launch massive tours even half a century after their first show. And that leads us to his life on the road today. The Road Warrior at 70. In 2024, AC/DC kicked off their Power Up Tour, and it rolled straight into 2025. The numbers are staggering: $75.8 million in gross sales from just the first stretch, with over 500,000 fans filling stadiums. That's proof that Angus still commands an audience across generations. But the tour isn't just about money, it's a test of endurance. Angus steps on stage in the same schoolboy uniform he first tried back in the 70s, still duck walking with his Gibson SG. And while fans cheer, some critics whisper, should the band finally hang it up? Viral clips of shaky performances have sparked debate, with some insisting that AC/DC's glory days should stay in the past. But if you think Angus is ready to stop, think again, because his drive doesn't come from critics. It comes from something far more personal: the man behind the guitar. Offstage, Angus is the opposite of the rock and roll cliché. He doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs. His indulgences, a steady stream of chocolate milk and an occasional coffee. But there's one vice he never shook: smoking. Cigarettes have long been his constant companion, even as health experts point to the risks. This surprising contrast, teetotaler yet heavy smoker, adds to the enigma of who Angus really is. At home with his wife Ellen, his life is remarkably quiet. No scandalous headlines, no dramatic breakups, no Hollywood flash. Just a man and his guitar, living in comfortable privacy. But this private life hasn't shielded him from the weight of legacy, and that legacy was put under the spotlight when fans reacted to the demolition of his childhood home. The house that built rock. In late 2024, news broke that the Young family's childhood home in Sydney had been bulldozed by mistake. For AC/DC fans, it felt like erasing a holy site. This wasn't just a random house. This was the very place where the Young brothers dreamed, rehearsed, and eventually launched one of the greatest rock bands of all time. Fans worldwide voiced outrage. Headlines called it a disgrace. The developers behind the demolition rushed to apologize, promising to use salvaged materials to build a memorial fan space. The event reminded everyone that Angus isn't just living history, he represents a heritage millions refuse to see forgotten. And it raises a question: what happens to a band's identity when the physical roots are gone?
To answer that, you need to look at the devotion of fans who keep showing up. Fans, faith, and the eternal anthem. If you've ever been to an AC/DC show, you know the energy is unmatched. From teenagers wearing fresh band tees to grandparents who saw them in the 70s, the crowd roars every lyric. For many, Angus isn't just a guitarist, he's the living embodiment of rock's raw power. One Canadian fan, Steve McNeil, even skated for 19 hours straight to honor both his mother and Malcolm Young, blasting AC/DC through every minute. Angus donated nearly $20,000 to support dementia music programs in his name. It's this cycle, fans inspired by Angus and Angus giving back, that keeps the connection alive. But as fans grow older and Angus himself reaches deeper into his 70s, a looming question remains: how much longer can this continue? The future of a reluctant legend. Angus Young turned 70 this year. Most people his age are long retired, but he's still hauling his Gibson SG across stadiums. Still, even Angus admits he feels the strain of decades on the road. Whispers of AC/DC's final farewell hang in the air, especially after the Murrayfield Stadium concert in Scotland. which some critics called their last great bow on that soil. Yet retirement has never been part of Angus's vocabulary. To him, rock is not a job, it's a calling. And as long as his fingers can rip out those riffs, he seems unwilling to step away. But the truth is, every tour, every show could be the last. And that's exactly what makes his 2025 lifestyle so fascinating. It's a life balanced between extraordinary wealth, simple personal habits, and a stage career clinging to immortality. From the rubble of his demolished childhood home to the roar of stadium crowds on the Power Up Tour, Angus Young's lifestyle in 2025 is one of sharp contrasts. He's a multi-millionaire who prefers privacy, a rock star who avoids the vices of the industry, a septuagenarian who still commands the stage like it's 1975. For fans, he's not just the schoolboy in a uniform, he's proved that raw passion can outlast time itself. And whether AC/DC's final bow comes this year or a decade from now, Angus Young's life is already sealed as one of the greatest legends in rock.